Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, otherwise known as ASA. I'm your host, as always, David Willett, and it is my pleasure to have you with us as we explore the diverse voices of the Australian cyber industry. This special edition of Cyber Voices was recorded at CyberCon 2024 and is part of our series from the conference highlighting some of the thought leaders that came together to make CyberCon so special. Welcome back again to Cyber Voices, recording live on day 3 of CyberCon 2024. I'm joined by my day 3 co-host, Jasmine McCrudden. Hello again, Jasmine.
Hello. How are you going?
I'm well. We're having a good afternoon, aren't we? We're getting to meet a lot of interesting people.
Yeah.
Including the gentleman sitting across from us. We've got Mark Jones from Tesserent. How are you going, Mark?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. What have the last 3 days been like?
Very exhausting.
Very exhausting,
It's been a big week, starting Monday and obviously kicking off things internally with some exec dinners and internal stuff, and obviously the events of Tuesday and yesterday and the nights. So it's been tiring, but it's awesome. I love this time of year.
Yeah, it's cool. It's Cyber Christmas. That's what I call it.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. With all the presents, and that actually feels like what you feel like after eating a big Christmas dinner. That's what I feel like every single day. Just exhausted and ready for bed. But it's amazing. It's great to just see everybody around and bumping into people, walking 20 meters and having 20 conversations. It's really great. I love it.
I said to someone this morning, if I was to try and cross this room, it might take me an hour.
Yeah, don't try. You have to just exit and then come in through another door. That's the tip.
And day 3 it's a big day to get through because it doesn't slow down after the block party. You think that it might, and whilst there's a few bleary eyes out there, it's just as much content to get through, just as many high quality speakers. All the exhibitors are still here.
That's right.
Mentally prepare
just
yourself.
Much to navigate and try and find where you're going and coordinate your day. No, it's when I turned up this morning, it was still as lively as it was yesterday.
And some nicer weather.
I'd say that. It might actually start yet. The day's not over.
Awesome. So it's not a first CyberCon for you then, obviously.
I've been a member of ASA. I think I was a member 216.
Oh, wow. You're a veteran.
I don't think I have to see if I can get that one back actually, but I started up in Sydney when there was a handful of people and moved to Melbourne. So these, when they first started, just the conference and pretty much I think they've only missed a couple since they started.
I think just during COVID we had the virtual ones and that was about it.
So I love it. Every time I come back here, especially last year and coming into this year, just how, just proud of the industry, proud of everyone that's behind putting this together. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
And you're a regular speaker at the conference?
I like getting out when there's something to share that's relevant. Obviously doing what we do, we get a good perspective on, of course, some of the things that happen in the market and what's kind of interesting and relevant to a lot of businesses. So where it makes sense, webinars and getting in front of people and doing speaking slots is definitely something I like to do.
Yeah, and one of the things we're really lucky about in here is, we're locked in here. We don't go and see a lot of the talks, but we almost get a bit of a one-on-one because you kind of bring the talk to us. And I was really interested in the title of your talk. Now, it is focused on third-party cybersecurity risk of a sort, but I like the actual tagline for it, which is old threats, new faces. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
So with the approach that we're trying to take to things with not just third party, but all types of stuff that we're working with our work at the moment, but focusing on third party, the threats really haven't changed, but they've definitely evolved. And the challenge around third party risk management has certainly got more complex. And as I said before, we get the privilege of speaking to CISOs and heads of security all week from all different sectors, and everyone's talking about it. And I cover off in the presentation when I was doing my research for it that you've made it when Gartner make an acronym about you and publish a paper. So when that came out, the third-party cyber risk management and the structure around what and how to do it, it is important, and it's really a complex thing to address properly. So when we start looking at how to do it differently, the approach of trying to focus on the threats that are relevant and how they're relevant to an environment, and then the control application and how you set up your framework to map to that was basically what we're seeing working. But I actually started to talk to find people in the crowd that have done this well and trying to get some good questions out, because everyone's got different ways that they do it, and it's a really complex thing to do properly. And the time vampires, I call them, are everywhere through this process and can just suck your resources away on things that aren't really that valuable if you don't do it properly. So, it's one of those interesting topics that is just coming up literally every week with talking to clients in different ways that they want to do it.
Yeah, it's been one of those ones that's been building and building over the years in the industry. And sometimes these things can kind of pop up and then disappear, but this one's definitely got legs. I found your comment just then interesting about the, I think, time vortex. Was that what you called it?
Time vampires.
Time vampires.
Yeah,
that's even better than what I said. But it's true. And in moments of frustration when dealing with this kind of thing, I've referred to it as a bit of theatre, a bit of security theatre. Like, all right, we're just going to review all your documents and look for some keywords in the table of contents in various different policies, which I'm not entirely sure if that very traditional tick box approach is actually making anyone more secure or more resilient. So what are some of the things you're seeing through your conversations which seeming like a little bit more revolutionary or actually a way of pushing this forward in the right direction?
I think the first part of it, to your point there, is just treating it like a tick box exercise is going to get you the result that you expect from that, which is a very low level of confidence and assurance. And the key part of it is where you've identified a third party as critical to your business and how it operates and supports your business, to really treat them as, and going back to the Gartner paper, as an ally, because they are effectively an ally to helping you manage your risk. So that's certainly one way to look at it. So they're not a third party. They're actually part of your business and an integral part of your business. And going back to your other comment, the reason why it is important is because we won't go into too much, but the breaches that we have seen, if you really look into how they've been caused and what happens and where and what's been involved, there are a lot of third party breaches. But at the end of the day, the reputation impact goes back to the parent company. So this topic of it's your reputation, it's your risk. It's not the third parties. If something happens, it always links back to you. So the structure of trying to identify, triage properly, and look at the actual controls based on the threats that are relevant to that third party and that relationship make the process much more effective. So rather than saying, to your point, it's a tick box exercise, you've got 300 questions to fill out, go away and come back with the answers. That's going to get, to your point, the theatre of yes, we do all this stuff and there's no validation. So trying to break that down to be more relevant to the party and what they do is what we're focusing on. Yeah,
exactly. And the tick box exercise sometimes doesn't necessarily generate any valuable or tangible improvement in terms of what are the opportunities. I like your comment around, well, these people are your partners and you should be working with them. I know when I sometimes get back third-party risk questionnaires, which are generally for me as a CISO to just get a bit of a feel for this organization and what their approach is, right? We have those, send them out. But then sometimes when I've got some additional questions and I'm just trying to understand something, you can jump on a call with a third party and they're instantly defensive, right? Because you can, when you get these things, you do feel a little bit like you're being interrogated and they're trying to find holes of you so then they can say, no, we're not doing business with you.
Yeah. And how do you navigate that?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the point. If you wouldn't, the way to think about that is you wouldn't do that with your team, for example. If you had part of your team that you wanted to do that, you wouldn't say, we're not doing business with you. No. If they're a partner or an ally, then treat them like that and say, we need to do this together. Yeah. We have a symbiotic relationship here, to make you be successful, what makes us successful in this relationship, depending, again, on the nature of services that they're providing to you. If you do it together, it can just be a much more happy. And to your point, it's not just tick boxing and finding problems. It gives an opportunity to really build something. And again, reduce this risk profile and this likelihood of incident.
Yeah. And it's a good way as well, because when you go through these, you get hung up on the very binary, well, yes or no, do you do this or do you not do this?
Yeah.
And I think it can help if you kind of lean into a little bit more of, well, this is what I'm trying to ascertain out of this, right? Like I whether you allow USB removable media or not is maybe not too much of the issue. It's more that, hey, you as my partner have a lot of my organization's data on your systems. And I'm trying to just get a little bit more holistically a view of how you manage customer data and the data safety protocols that you have in place.
Yes, this is what we do to protect it. So we're expecting at least some sort of replication of that in your environment, because we're basically handing over the same information to you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, exactly. What do you do and how do you do it? And I think also the chaining of those yes/no questions can potentially produce a problem. To say this might be a no, but this no combined with these 3 yeses or these 3 maybes, all of a sudden, and this is another point that I was making around, you can't take people out of this process. There's a level of obviously tooling that can be put into place, and there's plenty out there that can help manage it. Yep. But the intuition of someone that has seen this, or to your point, actually, I'm going to pick up the phone and just verify that response. Yeah. And you say this, but I've had experience when this thing and this other response that you had in here, those two, now this is actually something I want to talk about in a bit more detail. This thing of definitely leveraging technology to help streamline the assessments and get the answers and things that you want to come back, both initially and ongoing. But having the right people involved in this process is still really important.
And you mentioned before at Tesserent that you've got quite a good view of what's happening in the market. So I guess, what are you seeing at the moment?
Yeah, I think that I don't want to say we've seen all of the different permutations of how this can happen, but we see a lot. So we've gone from like we mentioned before, the 300 list questionnaire going out, different tools, different platforms that are managing the process. Big teams. I know a team that I built to run this at its peak with a CPS 234 mandate was around 5 people, 5 full-time people doing it. So that's one example. And then trying to explain to a customer when you're building this, don't underestimate the amount of time and effort it's going to take, and if that's where you want to spend all your resource. So look, there's just so many different versions of, and depending on the sector, could produce other different variants as well of how to do this effectively, which is kind of the point of my talk, which was around, this is not a new thing, and it's certainly not going anywhere. In fact, it's getting more relevant. We've got so much reliance on third parties these days. So yeah, honestly, we left the talk yesterday with a bunch of questions still unanswered. So 2 or 3 people hit me up out of it with answers. I'm like, I wish I knew the answer. If I knew the answer to that, I'd be in Silicon Valley right now building something. And the next, I think it's something that we can together just keep working out, like to your point, what are we seeing, what's working, what's not working, and what works here might not work in this sector or this size business or this type of maturity or whatever. So,
and what were some of those questions that were quite hard to answer?
Well, there was ones around there's tools that if you assess once and you load up your pass fail kind of scenario to a platform, and then when the next partner comes along, they can just look at your pass fail result. And the reliance of those. And I said that's it's really great theory, but I've seen it even for when we fill out third-party questionnaires for some of our clients. We're not putting all of our information up in that. If the client wants to know more information, to a point before, we're having a phone call. We're not uploading our configs and putting a whole bunch of stuff into this tool to verify it, because that presents a risk that we're not comfortable with. So the question was around the smart ways out of that. That was a good one. And just how we can potentially get to a point of some sort of commonality or common framework around how can we do this thing so everyone's kind of the same? Because you answer your question before as well, the questions are different. Yeah. Some people just go straight with a NIST or an ISO. Some go straight in with like, I'm going to combine these and make my own questions up. So having some sort of structured approach around, based on your sector, based on your size, based on the nature of this relationship, these are the types of questions that you could ask. And as a group, as a collective group, somehow, somewhere, maybe through ASA, for example, this is what we should ask, and this is the common, we're agreeing a common set of questions or a common framework to do this. Yeah. So those kind of things were kind of thrown around. Again, they sound great. That would be a really potentially good result, but that's not going to happen overnight. And do we need somewhere, like potentially something in government or groups like APRA or other sort of regulatory bodies relevant to these things to sort of help structure up something? So yeah, those are some good questions.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess they've really got to consider, well, what's the outcome you're trying to reach? So it's like what I was saying before, like what are you really trying to find out and why? And different people will have, or different organizations have got different risk tolerances, and some go so deep, and others are just very surface level. Yes, no, you do this.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find, I try to keep my own in the organization I work at very light in terms of what we're asking, just to get that general feel, because then sometimes you could be asking a question, you can be holding a vendor or a third party or whatever to account on something that maybe you're not even doing that well yourself.
Yeah.
You can get some real glass houses situations.
Yes, yeah.
In previous roles, I've been on the receiving end of a bit of a grilling from someone doing a third-party assessment against the organization I was working at. And I've been there and I've felt like saying, well, how are you doing it?
Well,
it seems like you've got all the answers.
are you actually even doing this control that you've put in? Yeah, exactly. No, that's to go back to your question before. That's a common one too. When you build up the frameworks and structures and they're saying, well, this is important. And I go, you're not even doing that. So
exactly.
And that's actually really complicated to get to that level, or maybe the answer to your point around what's the outcome we want here. That's not even a relevant control, really. This bit and this bit might be of that. And structuring up and chaining up these things would probably give you the result. I do really like that approach, though, what you're saying around what are you trying to achieve with this relationship and outsourcing or this building this relationship with this external party. And what's the nature of it, and what is it going to do, and how is it going to, evolve potentially, and how do you track that? So, yeah, the outcome-based assessment stuff is really good. That works.
Exactly. Depending on what it is they're going to be doing for you, what solution they're providing, how you're partnering with them. Maybe knowing how often they review their firewall policies is not that important.
That's right.
I mean, it could be that maybe that's a bit controversial, but like in general, it depends. Are you just getting a general feel for how mature they are in the information security space? Do they have the basic hygiene in place, or hey, is that particular control really important to the connectivity that they're going to have with you?
And that goes back to what I was mentioning before around, which was the kind of tail end of the talk, and something that we're seeing a lot more about, this threat-based approach. So when we talk about, and we're classic in this industry, to the term of risk is really overused, and breaking that down even more, the idea of putting the risk equation together and using the term threat just opened up. There's threats, and then you move into it like, no, what specifically are the threats? What the actors that are coming after your types of environments, or potentially your parties, or what do their TDPs look like when things actually happen? So that starts to give you much better visibility on putting your threat model over the top of, say, your environment, or this how this is being connected, and allows you to focus on now maybe those firewall config rules are really important now, because we need to check these because they're exploiting these sort of ports or whatever. But that's sort of getting into the nitty gritty of this threat intelligence against threat intelligence with context. There's a big difference there. There's a lot of white noise in that space that, if not done and curated right, can really cause a lot of headaches. And the third-party risk management is what we're saying is something that you can apply that to, and something that we do.
And I'd like to hear more about your conference experience. Like, what have been some of the key takeaways for you?
Look, I think the key takeaway here is that I just love what's going on in Australia in this market at the moment, and seeing all the new faces coming in, all the odd ones here are still walking around as well, like myself. But the takeaway is just, I love that we're just getting bigger, we're getting the attention. There's validation of what we think and what we see in the market all the time when we speak. We speak to a lot of people over Teams and maybe one-on-one with coffee, but when you get in a setting like this, and the ability to, last night at the block party, for example, just talking with 4 or 5 CISOs, a table, and just hearing kind of the everyone's talking the same language now. Everyone's getting the attention. So this is a really good place to do that. So the takeaway for me is just, I love this community. It's really great.
And I saw you at the block party as well. You look like a celebrity.
Well, I couldn't get through much of it. I think because I don't think I actually got to the end. I think I got stopped halfway and then walked back and then pulled into some little back tables, which were great. But again, that's the discussions and the connections made at these things are amazing. I want to say I wish there was more of them, but I don't think I could handle many more than one a year. This, like I said, it's been a big week. I'm ready to put my feet up on the weekend and have a relax.
I think we're lucky that we've got an event like CyberCon. Having a few years ago attended things like RSA in San Francisco, which is like next level.
I've never done that, but everyone says that's next level, and it's
you want to talk exhausting and disorienting, but the way that this is evolving now and the way the industry is really coming out for it, where Australia has got an event that is really sort of competing on a global scale. We've had some of the international visitors in here and they're loving it.
The thing about this diversity that we talk about, this is a demonstration of it happening. Like we can talk about it all, but this is an opportunity this is actually, we're seeing it here. Like just the demographic, and not just male, female, but like what's happening around when you walk through the halls and see people walking around, young, old, from everywhere. I love it. It's great. It's a really positive thing. And that's probably another good takeaway. It's a good time to take stock. We've got a great conference. I think RSA would, it's on my bucket list.
Give it a go. It's a fun week.
It's great. It's great to see so many people, and not like I said, when these things first started, it was the same old 6 or 7 guys going to a meeting room. And when I say guys, I mean guys. And now you walk out here and it's amazing. I love it.
Mark, thank you so much for sharing your voice with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Well, hello there, fellow podcasters. Are you looking to level up your podcast game? Well, let me tell you about This Is a Studio. This Is a Studio is where we record cyber voices each and every single week. They're located at 693 High Street in Pran and Ikla Hawthorne East. They're Melbourne's go-to video podcast studio. Whether you're starting a podcast or taking your podcast to the next level, they've got everything you need: quality equipment, a professional setup, and a team that lives and breathes podcasts. And if you're like us and thinking about going live, these are the folks behind the scenes at events like the AFL Grand Final, Equitina Melbourne 2024, and of course here at CyberCon 2024 as well. Seriously, these guys really know their stuff. So, if you're ready to make your podcast shine, check them out at thisisastudio.com.au. This is a studio where Melbourne's best podcasts come to life. Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Sanar Garut, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@aisa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an AISA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An AISA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at aisa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.